It's time to talk about unreal conditionals. So let's start with a few examples. This is my passport. Unfortunately, there's only one stamp in it when I took a trip to Mexico earlier this year. My other passports had lots of stamps. Unfortunately, this one has one. If I had more time, I'd travel more. Here's a guitar. If I practiced every day, I could be really good. And if I had more money, I'd buy more clothes. What did you notice about all of those examples? If you listened closely, you heard the simple past in the if clause. If I had more time, if I practiced more, if I had more money. Even though I'm talking about the present time, I'm using the simple past. And by using the simple past in the if clause, I'm creating an unreal condition. Now, in the result clause, most often you're going to have would plus the base verb. I would travel more. I would be very good. I would buy more clothes. And especially in conversation, would is going to have a contraction. Not I would, but I'd. Not you would, but you'd, and so on. In the result clause, you might also have could. I believe in my original example, I said, with the guitar, if I practiced every day, I could be very good. It suggests a result that's a little less certain. It shows possibility. I could also use might in the result clause, again suggesting less certainty of that result. For example, if I had more time, I might spend all of it reading books.
Let's take a closer look at these unreal conditionals in the present time. These statements show situations that are unreal, untrue, impossible, or unlikely. Remember, if statements have two parts. There's the if clause, which states the condition, and the main clause, which states the result. You can't have the result without the condition. Now the two clauses can be switched and it doesn't change the meaning. The if clause can come first in a statement, or it can follow the result. Example, if I had more time, I'd travel. Or, I'd travel if I had more time. Note, use a comma when the if clause comes first. If we're speaking, there'll just be a pause in place of the comma. As for verb tenses, even though we are speaking about the present time, we use the simple past in the if clause. Examples, if I had more time, if I practiced every day. Be careful using be in the condition. When you use a form of be to state a condition, you must use were for all persons. If he were famous, if I were the president. Now in very informal English, you will hear Americans use was. If he was famous, if I was the president, but that's only the case in very informal English. You really should use were for all persons. As for verbs in the result clause, most often we use would plus the base verb. If I had more time, I would travel. I would buy more clothes if I had more money. Note the use of contractions in informal English. Either writing or speaking, we'll use I'd, you'd, she'd, etc. In addition to would, there's might plus the base verb, and this expresses an unlikely but possible result. For example, if I had more free time, I might spend all of it reading books. Or, I might never take a bus or taxi again if I had my own car. Could plus the base verb expresses either a possible result or someone's ability. Examples, if I practiced every day, I could be really good on the guitar. We could open a restaurant if we knew more about running a business.
Okay, do you understand everything so far? Then I think you're ready for an exercise.
Look at the statement on your screen and change the verbs into the correct forms. The answer? If David had a better sense of humor, he would have more luck with women. You could also say he'd have, using the contraction. Number 2. Answer: Brian would get better grades in school if he studied harder. And note, Americans say grades, not marks. Teachers often use letter grades of A, B, C, D, and F, with F being the worst. In this statement, use could. Answer: You could take a direct flight to Rome if you were willing to pay more money. 4. Answer: If school didn't start so early, Michelle would sleep in. And in 5, use might. Answer: If we had the right tools, we might be able to fix the TV ourselves. In giving advice, we often use if I were you. For example, if I were you, I wouldn't cut my hair. It looks good the way it is. Why change it? Let's try an exercise to practice giving advice. I'll read a situation to you, and you think about what advice you would give to the person in that situation. Situation 1. Your friend George wants to buy a sports car, but he really shouldn't spend so much money. He already has lots of bills to pay. Your advice? Possible answers are: George, if I were you, I wouldn't buy the sports car. Or, George, if I were you, I would pay my bills first and then think about a sports car. Situation 2. Your classmate isn't happy with the grade she received from your English teacher. She thinks her essay deserves more than a C. Your advice? Possible answers are: If I were you, I'd talk to the teacher. Or, if I were you, I'd ask the teacher why she gave you a C. Now, not many textbooks talk about using progressive verbs in these conditionals, but you will see them sometimes. So let's take a look at how they are used. In the if clause, a progressive verb is were plus ing. Example: the cat must be awake. If it were sleeping, its eyes would be closed. In the result clause, a progressive verb would look like this: would be plus ing. Example: if Kelly earned more money, she wouldn't be sharing a one-room apartment with 2 other women.
Alright, that's about it for this lesson. I'm going to end with one more example, this time about you. If you didn't want to learn English, you wouldn't be watching these lessons. Did you notice that in the result clause I used a progressive verb? You wouldn't be watching these lessons. Would plus be plus ing. You wouldn't be watching these lessons if you didn't want to learn English. I hope you'll continue to learn English with me. Check back because there will be at least one more lesson on conditionals. As I said, it's a very large topic, but lesson by lesson, it will become clearer to you. And remember, if you have a question or a request, send it to me by email. My address is englishwithjennifer@gmail.com. Happy studies!